نثق داش شموخ تيثي ملكوثوخ نهوي صبيانوخ أي كانوا ذب شمايو أوف برعوها بلان لا حمود سنقونان يوم وشبق لان الحاوبين وحطوهين أي كانوا دوف حنان شباقين الحايوبين لو تعالى لسيونو إلو فاصولان من بيشو مطول ديلوخ هي ملكوثو وحايلو تشبحتو العولم علمين آمين.
So you've just heard the Father's Prayer, which was sung by Father Tony Cassi in Syria. The Father's Prayer, or Our Father, the Lord's Prayer, Pater Noster. It's a foundation of the Christian faith, but it's also a foundation for people of broader spiritual faith. I always consider it a grave error to dismiss the whole of the Christian teachings because people have certain biases against any ideologies or the corporatization of religion. Okay, we really need to discern what is the matrix around the wisdom and what is the wisdom. Now, I'm offering this so that you can drink deeply for about an hour or so while I take you through a few twists and turns of the Lord's Prayer. Now, I grew up in Australia, went to a public school. It's not, okay, I just went to an ordinary school, the one that's around the corner, and anyone who lives around the corner can go there. So it's not a special school, because I know in some countries public schools are the exclusive schools. Well, I didn't go to any exclusive schools. Anyway, by the by. But I recall in my early grades that as we began the day in the classroom, we would all stand up and stand in the aisles next to our desk and recite the Lord's Prayer. And that was a novelty for me because I wasn't raised in a Christian household. I was raised in an atheist, well, not even atheist, more agnostic. We didn't have any great resentment towards religion, but it just wasn't our thing. And as I learned relatively recently, is that there's like an Anglican version, or a Protestant version if you like, and a Catholic version. So the Catholic version was the one that we recited, and it kind of, the other one, just now when I say it, it just doesn't feel resonant. But anyway, so this is the one that we recited every school day in the morning before we started our lessons. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Now, you can imagine that as kids, saying it every day, you really tried to get through it as fast as possible. So it was really rote, and there was no appreciation. And I guess for anybody who is teaching anything spiritual or religious to children, it is more a matter of just repetition, putting things into the brain so that they can be reflected upon later in life, I guess. Anyway, so when I turned in recent years to look again at the Lord's Prayer, I wanted to go back to as original a source as I could, because one of my bugbears with the Bible, and I guess with any religious teachings that have become locked in the written word, I don't trust the people who control the written word. So I wanted to find something that took me back as close as possible to the source, and that was the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer, or of the teachings of Jesus. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, is comparing the Aramaic versions with how it got to that little rote recitation that we did every day in primary school or grade school, you might call it. So that's the journey that we're taking on today. Okay, now you've just heard the sung version. Let's have a listen to the spoken version, and there'll be some phonetic words to help you keep track of what the speaker is saying. Now, just by the by, okay, I really want you to avoid getting pedantic, because Aramaic was the precursor to Hebrew, and the Hebraic writing and the Aramaic writing doesn't have a letter-by-letter translation or crossover into the Latin alphabet. So I've noticed in my investigations that the various renderings of Aramaic into English phonetics varies quite considerably. Okay, so be kind, be generous when, if you are inspired to go off on your own journey and dig a bit deeper, because different authors have different ways of rendering Aramaic sounds into English. And then also remember, you've got the regional dialects that might have been in play as well. And that's certainly for the people who are speaking. Have you ever, as an English speaker, now anybody who's Scottish out there, just you'll enjoy this, but have you ever read a book about a fictional book set in Scotland, and the words are written in Scottish dialect? Okay, it's very hard. It's not easy. So I'm suspecting that a lot of these renditions of Aramaic into English might vary a lot because of regional dialects, accents, and could be a whole lot of other things. It doesn't invalidate it. That's what I'm saying. Don't get your knickers in a twist if you find that things are slightly different from another author's rendition. Okay, let's have a look at and a listen.
آوون بشمية نتقدى الشمخ تيتي ملشوتخ نيفي سويانخ اي كانت بشمية أبقرع هلا لخما سنقانا يومانا وشقلا خوبين اي كانت أبخنا شقلا خياوين ولا تقلا نسيونا إلا بصا من بيشة مطل ديلوخ هاي ملشوتا وخيلة وتشبختا العالم آمين آمين. آوون بشمية نتقدى الشمخ تيتي ملشوتخ نيفي سويانخ اي كانت بشمية أبقرع لخما سنقانا يومانا وشقلا خوبين اي كانت أبخنا شقلا خياوين ولا تقلن نسيونا إلا بصا من بيشة مطل ديلو خاي ملشوتا وخيلة وتشبختا العالم آمين آمين.
So were you able to discern the qualitative difference of the Aramaic to the rather terse English version? So compare Our Father who art in heaven with O thou from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light and vibration. Also compare Hallowed be thy name with May your light be experienced in my utmost holiest. Your heavenly domain approaches, which we have as thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Let your will come true in the universe of all that vibrates, just as on earth that is material and dense. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us wisdom, understanding, assistance for our daily need. Detach the fetters of fault that bind us to karma, like we let go of the guilt of others. Now was forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Let us not be lost in superficial things, in materialism, in common temptations, but let us be freed from that which keeps us from our true purpose. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. And compare that to, from you comes the all-working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age, sealed in trust, faith, and truth. I confirm with my entire being. So what you just listened to, consider that just a tip of the iceberg, because there are many other layers of meaning, of depth. It's almost like the words are a cover for something so much more profound that is almost hard to put into words. So using a little resource that I've got, a little booklet called Prayers of the Cosmos, Reflections on the Original Meaning of Jesus' Words by a scholar, 𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿 Now, if you are doing any digging into the Aramaic languaging that Jesus used, you'll come across 𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿𝚿. He's a leading scholar in the field. It's not to say that there's not other scholars, but it's likely you'll come across his name. Now, I want you to sit back for the next 10, 12 minutes or so as I take you through various feelings. So don't go through this analytically. Go through it almost meditatively and just feel into those words and let them wash over you. Now, I'm keeping the English lines up there so that you have, it's almost like the English will end up being a gate that you can go through to then dive in to that deeper cosmic understanding. Does that make sense? Now, I'm doing this for a particular reason. So for the next 10, 12 minutes, let these words just wash over you and get a sense of what depth and expansiveness these English words almost hide. All right, here we go. was that for you? You can come back to this realm now. I don't know if you experienced anything similar to what I did, but it was like diving into an ocean of this cosmic awareness. Sounds a bit trite, doesn't it? But that you're just in another realm. It's a door to another type of experience that can be considered quite sacred, quite holy. It taps into a part of you that doesn't get reached very often, that doesn't get called up very often, doesn't come forward very often. And that's one of the things, that's one of my aims with this regular, I don't want to call it a program, but this regular reflection, I like that term, a reflection on that aspect of us. Now, as you've just experienced, each line of the Lord's Prayer opens a doorway, and it's not, on the other side of the doorway, it's not fixed. It's quite fluid. There's an essence behind those words. So what I'm getting round to is to let you know that you can also contribute to this. Now, in the Western Church, probably in the Eastern Church too, I can't speak with certainty, but my guess is that these words, because they are in the Bible, because they are part of the dogma, you can't really mess around with the Lord's Prayer. But from the Aramaic version, you can see that the nuances, the different nuances can come forward. You can stretch into different corners of your soul. So, as an example, I'll share with you one that I created, because I wanted to personalize it for my understanding, for my particular expression of faith. Because I'm personally not one to be told what to think or how to think. I like to be given examples. I like to get creative and stretch myself into that space and see what I can draw up from within myself. So here's a little bit of an example of what I put together. See what you think. Now, there's no doubt that I'm going to keep tweaking it and refining it, and it's like I just want it to be I just want it to provide a bit of structure, so that I can swim around it, that I can play around it, I can dance around it. So I don't expect it to be turning into my dogma anytime soon. I'm just not designed to be so fixed in any of my expressions. Now, your turn, huh? I'm going to let you feel into your own soul. Excuse me. I'm going to let you feel into your own soul and just see what emerges with each of those lines for you. And I would say to you, at this stage, don't get a pen and paper. I want you to just sit with it. You can revisit it at a later time. Excuse me. And then you can sit down with pen and paper if you really wish to. So, all right, see how you go. Now, how are you feeling? How does the Lord's Prayer shape up now? I feel that I can now look at it, I can read it, because it's rather short, it's handy, pocket size. And I can take myself behind it or above it, but for me it's more a visceral sense of digging underneath and unearthing all those heavenly treasures, all those soul treasures that nourish, that fill me with spirit, that fill me with joy, that give me goosebumps. I read somewhere that goosebumps, when you're listening to a beautiful piece of music or a meaningful piece of music or reading something beautiful, that that's the soul's connection with its expanded self, with its kin. Now we're coming to the end. We're coming to the close. And I want to thank you for sitting with me through this. This is a quest that I'm going to undertake. Well, it's more like an expedition, because I want to commit, I intend to commit to something on a very regular basis and quite possibly weekly. Okay, so I tend to resist being locked down into any kind of routine. So this is a bit of a self-discipline adventure for me. And it's important for me because I see so many of my colleagues, my spiritual kin, those who share my faith, I see them so distracted and so exhausted by their distractions. And it saddens me. So I thought I would just come in every I really don't want to say the word weekly, because that's also weak as in not strong. So I'm trying to find an alternative word. Might have to look at a German version or maybe a French version that doesn't have that same connotation. But each episode, how's that? Each episode, I want to explore a different facet of nourishment for the soul. So it might be a different topic. It might be a collection of things that I've come across that I think would really help my distracted and exhausted colleagues in faith. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on what exactly my faith is. I may touch on it here and there. I don't think I'll add it in this one. Might add it in the next episode. But okay, I want you to enjoy the days ahead. D-A-Z-E, the days ahead. Oh, I shouldn't overthink it. I shouldn't have opened up this can of worms. But maybe that's something that we can explore down the track. All right, so enjoy the time ahead, and be well, be nourished, and I will see you again. And I'll close again on the singing, these Aramaic singing of the Lord's Prayer. Okay, ciao.
نثقادش شموخ تيثي ملكوثوخ نهوي صبيانوخ أي كانوا ذبش مايو أوف بارعوها بلان لا حمود سنقونان يومون وشبق لان الحاوبين وحطوهين أي كانوا دوف حنان شباقين الحايوبين لو تعالى لسيونو إلو فاصولان من بيشو مطول ديلوخ هي ملكوثو وحايلو تشبحتو العولم علم